Okay, what is up? I am going to use a little inspiration from my son, and I'm going to film a couple unboxing videos of some wrestling figures. I am a huge wrestling fan, wrestling figure collector. Uh, 50 years old, been watching wrestling since I was probably 8. So I've lived through the golden era, lived through um, the Attitude Era and WCW, the Monday Night War era. So yeah, I've got a lot of insight as far as it's my cat here. Um, I've got a lot of insight as far as fandom, and I try to collect figures from that time. But I also collect some contemporary figures too, if they're cool enough for their guys I like or girls I like. So yeah, I'm just gonna try some unboxing videos, see if anyone's interested. I'm not gonna really do what I've seen on other channels, which is talk too much about the figure as far as the articulation and the packaging. I'll mention all that, but really what I'm going to talk about is from a fan's perspective why I collected that figure, um, how I'm going to display it, what that particular personality meant to me growing up, or even now as a fan still in his 50s that that watches the WWE product mainly every week. So um, today I'm going to open. It is the Legends series by Mattel. I'm going to mention that, but I'm certainly not going to get any sponsorships. Of Jimmy Hart, Series 21. Some heavy hitters in this series. We've got, obviously, Jimmy Hart, Iron Sheik, which I'll tell you, I've gotten all these figures now. I'm only going to unbox this one for display purposes, and I'll show you why in a bit. But Iron Sheik, Andre the Giant, and early Hulk Hogan, which is really, it's probably my favorite Hogan figure, at least of the last year. So, the Mega Powers with Macho Man's kind of hard to beat those figures. But anyway, yeah, so I'm going to open this guy up and just kind of take a look at it, show you how I'm going to display it, where I'm going to display it as far as what figure. So this is Jimmy Hart from 1994-ish, when Hogan broke into WCW and Jimmy Hart followed him. Probably could use it in display of 93 era when Hogan teamed up with Brutus the Barber at WrestleMania. I think it was WrestleMania 9. And they went against, I believe it was Ted DiBiase and Mike Rotunda for the tag team titles. Of course, they lost. I don't think they lost. I think they got disqualified, but Hogan went on to win the heavyweight championship that night against Yokozuna, and probably the worst WrestleMania main event I've ever seen. Anyway, yeah, let's take a look at it. I'm going to open it up now. Don't make fun of me, but I always open these a little carefully. I've seen some other channels where people just tear into it, and I'm going to try to at least keep it intact. But really what I want to do is just get the figure out, and we're going to try and see. Like I said, this is my first foray into, I guess doing it easy isn't going to work, into an unboxing video. So I'm going to try to get the wrinkles out, get brave enough to post this on YouTube. Like I said, my son, who's 10, posts videos to YouTube. They're the silliest things I've ever seen, but he likes it, he does it, he doesn't care what anyone thinks, and he has fun doing it. So, alright, we'll break Jimmy Hart out of his plastic prison. See what we got. That's kind of cool. This is new packaging. As you can see through the window here, it's got a picture of, very similar to what's on the back. It doesn't look like it comes out as a background. Maybe it does. It might. No, kind of doesn't. It's just kind of in there. But yeah, it's got the new packaging. Kind of reminds me of Defining Moments figures. How it's got that kind of shape, cylindrical shape there that makes it look. It really pops if you hang them on the wall or you set them on a shelf. I kind of like that packaging. So there's Jimmy right there. All right, let's pop him out of here and see what we got. We got a couple ties. I don't have a scissors yet. See, a rookie mistake, but let's occasionally break them out of here. Oh, we got a rubber band for the megaphone. Alright. I'm not going to care too much about the extra hands right away. But he does have, you know, 2 finger pointing hands. But what I really want to talk about, if you get a good look at this figure, it's just the Hulk Hogan apparel he's wearing, obviously. That's why I said you can wear this, can pair this with the Hulkster from '94, which is what I plan on doing, or even the '93 Hulkster and Brutus the Barber Beefcake when they were I think they were Mega Maniacs or something like that. I can't remember their tag team name, but that sounds about right. When Hogan came back and he had the black eye that the Legend had, it was from Macho Man gave him a black eye before WrestleMania 9, I think it was again. Anyway, so let's take a look at him. He's looking pretty sharp here. He's got a rubber band. Get that off, but he's looking pretty sharp here in his custom jackets that Mouth of the South always had. And I gotta say, let's just talk about Jimmy Hart as a whole, because he has always been, and I guess I'm not going to call him the greatest of all time, but probably my favorite manager. I will die on the hill that Bobby the Brain Heenan is the greatest manager to ever step foot in and out of a wrestling ring. And not necessarily just because of his manager resume, but, you know, his wrestling resume as a whole. There wasn't anything Bobby Heenan couldn't do for in the ring, wrestling, taking bumps, or on the microphone, behind the monitors on the desk, things like that. So, yeah, okay, we got another rubber band here. So, let's just, kept his glasses on. Let's just take a look. Again, he's wearing the Hulkster jacket. Even says WCW on that. Didn't notice. So, I guess you probably could only display this if you're one of those particular people, only display this with your '94 Hogan. But, yeah, Jimmy the Mouth of the South Hart basically followed Hogan, I'll say, in the middle of his career. Later in his WWF run, he was his manager, and early in his WCW run. And from what I've heard, Hogan really used Jimmy Hart as an actual manager. He helped him with the day-to-day stuff, traveling and things like that, kind of keeping him on pace. So he really, truly was a manager. And when he went to WCW, from what I understand, the deal was to bring Jimmy with him. So, yeah, pretty cool suit. Hulkster up and down the side. Picture of the Hulkster on the back, as I said, WCW. The Hulkaphone, it says on the side of the megaphone. Get a look at that. So, pretty cool details. But again, Mouth of the South, for me, was always, I'll say, my favorite manager, because he, first of all, because he managed my favorite tag team, which is the Hart Foundation, but also because he just the work he put in. And you hear about it now. I mean, I've heard Eric Bischoff say that if there was a red light on a camera, Jimmy Hart was in front of it. He always wanted to work, wanted to be in front of the camera, get the pub, obviously, but he certainly is a worker. Later in his career, I've heard the stories about how he would help setting up the ring, setting up chairs, whatever he had to do, small or big jobs. So, but anyhow, so yeah, I had to have this figure. It's a Target exclusive, and the morning they were released, I was online with my Target store and got one for pickup. I was lucky enough to get one. So, but what I intend to do with this figure is, and I believe this was a Legend as well recently, the '94, and Mattel does a great job of, you know, spacing out these guys that maybe go together, tag team partners, or you know, factions, whatnot, that figures that would go together. Space and Amount series, so you can kind of get interested in the series later. And okay, they're smart, they know what they're doing, so they certainly get my money, that's for sure. Let's put that aside. But yeah, I intend to display this 94 Hogan with Jimmy Hart here. Kind of looks sharp together. Here, we'll get that back. Sorry, like I said, first time. Hogan came with this Hulkster belt, but I put a WCW title on him because it wasn't long after the Hulkster came into WCW that they put the belt on. In fact, I think obviously it was his first match against Flair that he won the belt. So, but yeah, that's a pretty sweet Jimmy Hart figure. As I said, I always have a soft spot in my heart, no pun intended, for Jimmy and the Hart Foundation. When they started out, that was kind of my first exposure to Jimmy Hart. And then, after that, everyone he managed, he's really, for, I'll say, the mid to late 80s, he was a tag team manager, the Rougeaus, things like that. But then he finally, kind of caught up with the Hulkster, and then they were synonymous until a couple of years into his WCW run. Sorry, my cat again. I'm petting my cat down here. You can't see her. WCW run where he broke off and was with the Dungeon of Doom and the Giant and things like that. So yeah, that's kind of why I chose this Jimmy Hart. Like I said, out of all the ones in that series, I mean, the Andre is sweet. Obviously the Hulkster, that I can't even call him Hulkster, early Hulk Hogan figure, and the Iron Sheik, just a beautiful figure. I had to get. I don't know as I've seen a Legends line that I had to get all 4 figures, but I did. So yeah, that's. I'm very glad I chose to open this one. That's why, like I said, if I keep doing these videos, they might not even be opening videos. They might be just figure reviews. I probably 1 out of every 4 figures I get, I choose to open. Unfortunately, behind me you can't see any of my figures. That's my Green Bay Packer stuff. I'm a Packer fan as well. But yeah, I really choose, again, 1 out of 4 figures I open. Either I buy 2 of them, 1 to display, or it's just somebody that goes with another figure I have, things like that. So yeah, that's kind of it. Hopefully put this on YouTube. Maybe somebody will even look at it and watch it. But if not, at least I did it and kind of, cracked it open and gave it a try. Hope you liked watching, at least learning a little bit. Not exactly a wrestling historian, but as I said, I've been a fan for 40 plus years, and kind of lived through some of what I think are the best eras in wrestling, all the way from the start of Hulkamania to the modern era now, which I will say I have 10-year-old twins, and they kind of got to the age where I thought I'll expose them to wrestling, so I started watching again. In about 2018, I started watching again. So I do watch the contemporary stuff. I watch all kinds of the old stuff, and yeah, and mainly I'll say now WWE. I don't pay attention to AEW that much. I do listen to some radio shows and podcasts that do go into the modern stuff and the AEW stuff, so I do pay attention. I just don't watch it on a weekly basis, and I think it's kind of, not as good. So, but anyway, that is what I have to say. Thank you for watching.